looking for respect nationwide.
What is going on, Sooner Nation? Thank you all for tuning into another episode of the Barry and Mack Show. As always, myself, Barry, personal trainer, sports homes coach out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and alongside me, former Sooner wide receiver, 2000 national champ, Mr. Damian Mackey. How are we doing this winning night? Mack.
A win is a win. A win is a win. Don't check my Twitter because you guys will call me a fake fan. I was highly disturbed, especially the first half of the game. But college football is crazy, and obviously I lost my voice a little bit. If you were on Twitter, I got on we were down. We had just given up the TD when Gullery doesn't wrap. They catch the quick out. Gullery can just tackle and it's 4th and 1. They may even punt. Hyde probably doesn't punt, but still. And the guy, Matthews, I believe, Staley or Matthews, one of them takes it down the sideline. At that point in the game, I was like, I need to do some cardio. I bought a walking treadmill from Amazon probably like 3 months ago. Helped me lose a ton of weight. I'm walking 10, 15,000 miles as many days as I can. But anyway, the moral of the story is I got on the treadmill. And as soon as I got on the treadmill, we started winning. And so I'm on Twitter and I'm like, yo, I got on the treadmill and we started winning. Everybody's like, don't get off the damn treadmill.
Let's go.
95 minutes. Bro, I'm on the treadmill 95 minutes.
Nice.
I was on the treadmill 95 minutes. So I walked 3.5 miles. Yeah, man, crazy game. I have so many mixed emotions right now. I mean, obviously my heart is somewhere. My mind is someplace else. I feel like my nerves are frazzled. You know what I'm saying? And but I will say this, man, big win for the program. I'm 7-2, 3-2, I believe, in conference now. With a game, essentially, if we beat Bama, we have the win over them, and they'll be 4-2, and we'll be 4-2. Puts us in a good position. I'll start talking strategy here later on, but big win, man. I mean, I was emotionally invested, dog. I sweated. I mean, granted, I'm on the treadmill for 95 minutes, but I probably lost 3 pounds today. So I'm excited for the guys. How about our freaking kicker? Sando's going to be an All-American. Kid got his All-American. He's an All-American tonight.
Dude, I don't know how you at this point don't give him the Groza? How does he not? Right? Is there going to be a guy who has like 103 extra points and has scored like a ton of, in terms of performance and high stakes, and we said it pregame, I picked him to, Fantasyland game-winning field goal. But, man, they mattered tonight, probably more than any other kicks thus far this year, and he knocked him down. You had the one where the penalty pushes them back. He still knocks down the 55-yarder and then hits the game blouses Dave Chappelle as Prince celebration on the broadcast. I thought that was wonderful. But, at the end of the day, OU gets the win. We will dive into the stats, D-Mac. But Sooners put 33 up on them. Defense allows 27 in this one, but it still felt like the defense won the game and saved the day when they needed to step up. Yes, there's going to be things that we talk about post-game. Tackling still a massive issue, especially on the perimeter, right? They seem to take care of a lot of the stuff up the middle. There's some issues, but that perimeter tackling when guys are in space, they got a chance late in the game to blow a guy up. 2 guys bounce off, and he goes for the first down. And it really started the drive that led to the field goal at the end of the game for Tennessee. Felt like they might have a little bit of life. And we'll talk about X-Rob taking a kneel down at the goal line. I'm curious to get your thoughts on that. I know Herbie, after thinking about it in the booth, thought a little differently. But before we dive in, want to let everybody know that this show is brought to you by OU Insider, OUinsider.com. Go over there, get yourself a membership. All of the live chatter, the recruiting news. You got a running back, big-time Sooners running back. We're looking at his recruitment. So a lot of stuff, a lot of just stories going on behind the scenes as OU navigates this really tough SEC schedule. DMAC talked about it at the beginning of the year. Winning was going to matter in recruiting, so we will see how that plays a role with some of these big time gets that OU was trying to pull. But DMAC, let's hop into the game, man. I think the first thing to get out of the way, and the part of the game that really set the tone, where, just to be honest, it felt like the game could have gotten away from Oklahoma. And Tennessee's up 7-0. They're going in again. You get the fumble, scoop and score with RMT. Just your initial thoughts on that play and just him being an absolute monster in the stadium to shift the tide on the momentum.
Well, I think first you got to give credit to Heineke. Heineke makes the play. He's doing an outside dog zone blitz at the snap of the ball, times it up well. They're in an RPO situation. And so shut up, guys. The Twitter people are talking about my treadmill escapades. So Heineke makes the play. And if you watch the game, it's a touchdown. They're running their backside bang a slant, the one they hit us on last year, and it's open. By the way, we're gonna get to Eli. Sorry, I'm calling names out. I'm not holding back. We gotta be good enough to be a championship caliber team. Eli played soft all game. Anyway, you didn't ask me about that play.
What's that about it?
Hell of a play by Heineke. Again, BV drawing up the scheme. And then RMT, he just literally like one hands it like it's a baby. Like he's scooping. He's like he's a silverback scooping up his baby off the ground, and then he stiff arms Buddy for 20 yards. Like, nah, bro, you're not taking me down. And then he pulls a hammy. By the way, he may have stepped out of bounds. Did you see us take forever to kick the field goal? Like, bro, kick the field goal, kick the field goal, kick the field goal.
I was wondering about that.
They were like, oh, was he out of bounds? I'm like, kick the field goal. But salute. I'm glad they gave him credit for that because one, the defense, earned the play, but two, the offense needed it. Offense needed that. We were sleepwalking the entire first half. I'd say 2.5 quarters, the offense sleepwalked, but players make plays. That's the definition of a guy going to make a play. Heineke made a play in a turn in the sense of creating a turnover. RMT made a whole separate play and turning it into 6 points. So grown man business. But I obviously you ask yourself, is it worth potentially a multi-week injury? Those type of hammies, better than most, those things can last and linger and be something he has to deal with for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, that is the only thing about that play that worries me, DMAC. I've worked with guys where that is almost it's almost one of the worst things you could see happen, either that or a strained calf. You'd almost rather the
somebody said definitely worth it.
Absolutely. I mean, you got to score, right? You have to shift the momentum. But just from experience, seeing guys come back from that, I have a feeling he is going to be put on the shelf this week. There's going to be lots of treatment. They're going to really scale back the work, and then probably Tuesday they'll give him that whole next weekend where they got the bye, right? He might do a couple things to test it, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, they'll try and give him as many days in between as they can. That's when they'll see if he's going to potentially be able to play, and not just play, like be a force. And guys, from just a physiological standpoint, when you are coming off the line of scrimmage like that and you are explosive, your hamstrings are such a vital part of being explosive out of your stance. And you really have no control or way to kind of turn that volume down on them, DMAC. You know what I mean? You can't. It's not like a linebacker who doesn't necessarily have to explode out of his stance the same way that a defensive end does. So we'll see how OU navigates that. Obviously, McKenzie, as we saw, was downgraded to start the game, and Kip Lewis. Heineke played a ton of snaps. Kip seemingly had a great game. Want to get your thoughts? Heineke totals 13 tackles. I think he had 9 in the first half. So just
balling.
monster game by him. Just want to run down the stat line real quick, and then we'll go either side of the ball. So first downs, OU 19, Tennessee 28. Felt like between the 20s they were getting stuff done. Tennessee was. Rushing attempts. Both teams end up with 35 ground attempts. I want to talk about OU's run game late and just Mateer's health. I think this was the first game back. What we have heard that he's had some knee issues and just some nagging things there. And we talked about his speed and him looking slow, not looking very fast. I'm not saying he picked up an extra, 2/10, but I am saying he looked a lot more explosive tonight in sort of those close area situations where he was getting caught in the previous weeks. So I think that bodes well. He was creating much more separation. Rush yards, 192 for Oklahoma, 63 for Tennessee. And it was a hypo game plan. It didn't seem like that was going to be their focus. Herb Street even talked about it on the broadcast, so sort of running just to change things up a little bit. And then a yard rushing average, 5.5 for Oklahoma. 6 yards of rush at the end of the day is going to help you win some games in the SEC. 1.8 for Tennessee. And then last little stat, and not surprising, third down efficiency, OU 4 of 10, but those were a key 4 kind of late in the game. And then Tennessee 7 of 13. But will OU play a better offense, all season? So I want to get your bird's eye view, and I started with RMT. Just what you thought of the defense, man. At the end of the day, it's 27 points, but with the offense that Arbuckle is supposed to have brought in, that should be enough. So how do you think they fared? Where do things need to get fixed as we move towards the, kind of picking apart the specifics there?
Yeah, I think I look at the defense, and there's the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good is our front. By the way, they got no holding calls, and there are 2 or 3 plays where Stone or Halton beats the guy, and they're literally pulling the back of his jersey, and he's by them, and the ref doesn't call. It's crazy to me that they don't call the holding penalties. It is what it is, right? You got to play the game. The good is the front. Our front is really good. Guys can't run inside on us. From the line to the backers, Jaden Jackson again is just destroying the A gap. I mean, guys, double team, he's splitting it, he's killing it. Halton, Dom were both playing well. Stone was a little high, but played well too. The bad is the edges. It's interesting. Heineke has a great game. Heineke has a terrible tackle that the guy breaks the tackle and barely toenail gets out of bounds. I don't know what happens. Like Heineke stopped his feet, or I don't know why, but he just kind of gives up on the edge. Second play of the game, Eli gets housed on the quick screen, 2 yards from the boundary sideline. They throw the 2v2 quick screen. I think it's Matthews, I believe, down the sideline. Eli's on his ass. The other receiver is punking him. By the way, I'm gonna come back to Eli because I saw a couple things I thought were good, but I saw a couple things that were terrible, and a couple things that are just biology. The edges are bad. The pass awareness, technique, aggressiveness is terrible. They beat us on that bang aid slant all freaking night. They scored the first touchdown on an RSJ on it in the goal line, right? Did you see the one Matthews drop or Staley drops at the end of the game? It's a minute left. They run it again, and Kendall Daniel kind of flashes by, and I guess it probably messed up his concentration. But that bang aid slam, man, it's a big part of their game plan. However, here's how I have to. And Barry, I've played in games like that. I was excited to just feel the energy. Oh, you want to hear something funny? Antoine Savage was at the game rocking Tennessee gear.
What?
We got a text group. There's like 4 of us in the text group. Like, man, we should have went to the game. I was like, nah, I'm not going to the game on Hype's dime. And I'm in the text group. I'm telling the crew, like, I'm not going to the game on Hype's dime and then I'm rooting for OU because I'm not going to that game and rooting for Tennessee. I'm sorry, bro. I'm not doing it, right? And so Jay Hunt's like, bro, Sava was there. He's on the TV telecast, because Hype let us stay on the sidelines. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Sava was there, Tennessee'd up. I said, come
That
on,
is
bro.
wild, man.
We alumni, big dog. We can't do that against OU Tennessee week. Anyway, we won, man. And I've been in those games. I'm telling you, like, everything doesn't go well. Yes, we've got to talk about the freaking scheme again. And it's dog shit. Ben Arbuckle, you cleaned it up the last 18, 19 minutes of the game. The first 40 minutes of the game is an abomination. Mateer, you brought up, he looked faster. I think he got out of his own head. I think he stopped being a puss. I think he finally stopped saying, I'm scared or I'm hurt or no. I think he just started to play football again. It looked like he just started playing football. I think he was being timid. There's an aspect of being a ball player where you're just scared or timid or wondering or guessing or thinking. If you're thinking, you're going to get your ass kicked playing football, high in football. I'm telling you. So salute to him for stop feeling sorry for himself because he just looked like a wounded dog. Like, bro, you're like a snack. There's a term we call that. We call it a snack. That's what he looked like for 40 minutes. He looked like a snack. And then the last 20 minutes, he looked like a dog. Arbuckle did do a couple of different things that I think complimented him, which I think is cool. I still don't know what our identity is. You know what our identity should be? Let me tell you our identity. I figured it out. Our identity should be lining X-Rob up in pistol. So let me the reason our run game is trash. Okay, see, now you're going to get me ranting, bro, because I got so much in my head. I watched that game. People said last week, they said, Mackey, you're so emotional. And I probably was a little emotional after the Ole Miss game, but I stood my 10 toes on the fact that we should have ran the ball when we got momentum running the ball with X-Rob, and we went away from it. I don't give a damn how many plays Arbuckle drew up if our quarterback can't hit him. Don't make no sense. And our running back was cooking. X-Rob might be a top 3 running back in the SEC. He might be a top 3 running. By the way, he had 100 yards. Again, right? And he kneels the ball at the 1-inch yard line. But on this rant, I there's a lot of resilience. Let me tell you what this tells me. And I haven't been around the program a ton because I've been working and things of that nature, but you can tell there's a lot of guys on this team who care. You can tell. Yeah. It mattered when the chips were down and we looked terrible on offense and we were like a nosebleed on defense, right? We were doing just enough. The front was creating enough havoc that Aguilar was making some mistakes. So we're on Twitter and we're talking about how bad Mateer looked in the first half. And the running joke was, Aguilar said, "Here, hold my beer." Right? He just started throwing the ball to us, like, "Hey, man,"
which was wild. He hadn't played like that all year.
And when he didn't throw it to us, he was throwing dimes to them. It was like he had like 3 or 4 brain farts where he threw the ball to us, and otherwise he was throwing dimes, unless the pressure was getting there. But I just think about this team, and as much as I want to bag on and bash on some absolutely diabolical, it's how you lose football games. And I hate to use this because I love John Blake, and I don't think the program is as it was when I was here in 98 or there in 98, but there's some John Blake-esque stuff happening. We're on punt and we get a penalty, or your freaking quarterback has to call a timeout 3 times because he doesn't recognize the clock. Like, bro, you're not a freshman. By the way, guys, that's BV because he has to have better control over that per se, but that's your freaking senior quarterback, bro. You played a ton of football. If it happens 1 time, okay, it happened 3 times. You're trying to check a damn play with 5 seconds, and if we needed those timeouts because of your Mickey Mouse mentality, we could potentially lose the game. Yeah, those are things that you can't. How about hitting the quarterback in the head? How about face mask? All what I'm saying. Did you guys know? It's been kind of smushed over, but guys, after we score our last touchdown, we kick the ball through the end zone. They've never returned 1 kickoff the entire game, and we get a face mask. They get the ball at the 40 instead of the 25 because some dodo brain face masked somebody, and they haven't returned 1 kick all day. Those are things, Barry, that if you lose a game like this, they rear their heads and it starts to talk about, institutional control, top-down control, right? What is the message that the HBC is delivering? We got the dub. So I do want to mention those things because they matter. But I just know night game, 100,000.
Yeah.
Their band was rocking. They came in the Halloween uniforms, right? I'm in these alumni groups. They talking smack. I ain't even got a chance to talk smack on these groups yet. I'm about to be talking my stuff here when we get off the pod. But I'm happy that group of players got a chance to play in a game like that, go through adversity. I think Kirk Herbstreit said it correctly, and I believe, and I agree. Oh, freaking Dodgers. And I agree wholeheartedly. That's the type of game that can catapult them.
For sure.
Last thing, I'll turn it back to you. The first half and the second half told me we were emotionally whooped because a lot of the things we did in this first half, we did in the second half, and Arbuckle made a couple of good tweaks, and I'll address them when we get there. But aside from that, we pretty much ran the same stuff. Guys, we got like 12 plays. And then we run we kind of run a offense fairly similar to Levy's, not in design, but in functionality. Levy had like 12 things he liked to do, and then he would tag off the 12 things he liked to do. Arbuckle's offense is like 3 or 4 different concepts, and then he tags off of it. We ran an out and up today. That's how Satania gets the a chair route. That's how Satania gets the big play where he fumbles out of bounds, right? We ran a jerk route. It's just a tag, essentially what I'm saying. And so I do want to respectfully applaud and cheer for those guys for figuring out a way to win. And if they can backdoor this with some success against Bama, which again, I think success is running the ball with X-Rob.
Yeah.
If they can do that, I think they're on to something. But we still have probably every team I've watched in the SEC has a better scheme than us, including Kentucky. I watched the Kentucky-Texas game last week. Oh, yeah. Kentucky played Tennessee last week. I watched the Kentucky-Tennessee game last week. I watched the Kentucky-Texas game the week before. Kentucky has a better scheme than us. Arbuckle's got to grow up fast. What he's putting on the field is not good enough to compete at a championship caliber level in the SEC. I think he knows it. I think BV knows it. And they've got to figure it out.
Yet, he was brought here, and you mentioned the 12 plays. He was brought here with the idea that he was a guy who does the Heupel thing, right? Like Heupel did in this game, was pick on mismatches, dissect mismatches, say, where do we have the advantage, and go there. And it feels like in a game like that, I was just watching highlights this morning. Stuff showed up on Twitter, as I think it's the anniversary of the game when AD rushes for like 250 against Okie State in 04.
Yeah.
And you got Jason White, you've got superstar receivers. I mean, that receiving core is
best ever.
One of the best ever at Oklahoma. And OU and Stoops said, you know what? This is our offense. It is tosses to AD, and then what we're going to ask Jason to make explosive plays, stretch the field. But for us to be at our best, we've got to run through our best players. And you can't have a guy like AD back there and not utilize him. Satania, a guy like him, you got to figure out a way to get him more advantageous touches in space where he's got even more room to work with. X-Rob has to see more touches. I feel like Burks has become a guy who they are trying to feed at various points in the game, but just doesn't generate the explosive plays like a Satania does, or even a guy like a Jermichael Carter. And that was interesting, the call at the end of the game. I want to ask you about that, just that pass that they threw to him. But then he had a big play early on. The offensive line with this personnel, you look down, you've got Foji, Nwewu, you got 69. Name escapes me right now, but Jake Myakula, and then you've got EPL now playing big minutes, and Fasusi. These are athletic, downhill, mauling offensive linemen. Nuewu, he is a physically strong, imposing guy with his upper body, man. He has some of the strongest hands, and we called that out. That feels like where the identity of the team needs to go. They felt most in their element, or seemed to be most in their element at the end of the game when they were basically just trading carries with Mateer and X Rob. That's where they felt very comfortable, and then working the pass off of that. Um, just in terms of the offense, DMAC, to get them through, because now at this point you're 7-2. You beat Bama. You're sitting at eight wins, and still have an LSU team that's wounded this year. And then you have Missouri sitting there, which that will be tough. That's not going to be a walk in the park. But OU is really 3 wins away from being in the playoff. How do they take this team, this offense, this personnel, DMAC, and get it to where that they have a team that can get 3 wins here in these next few weeks? And then you've got a bye week, man. You've got a chance to tweak some stuff. How is that done coming up so you can close out this last part of the season?
I'm keeping a buck with you. We've got to buy to figure that out. I kind of want to just savor in the victory of tonight, man. I mean, we've got to be able to run the football. We've got to clean up the back half of the defense. And we've got to figure out. Here's something BB did really well tonight. He said, screw everything else. We're good at creating havoc in the box. We're going to create havoc, make it hard for you to run. We're going to create havoc and make it hard for you to pass. I mean, we should have gotten at least 4 hold. They didn't call any holdings on them. And again, there's 2 of them where I think it's Grayson Halton. He's literally past the guy, and the lineman grabs the back of his jersey, and you see the jersey, and they don't call it. So we know the ref's not going to have our back there. And then, of course, the Guillory PI. In my opinion, that's a terrible PI call relative to what they allow to happen in the conference. I get the home cooking. I get it's their sideline. I get it. But, like, you see DBs get to play extremely physical football. And I'm not trying to make excuses or this or that. But, like, that's a ticky-tack pass interference where Guillory kind of puts his arm up on him, but turns around, hand in the air with the ball. Yeah, it's a ticky-tack call, and they call it like it's super blatant, and I'm just like, okay.
It wasn't too different from what he did in the end zone, where he knocks the ball down. And that only difference is he turns fully around and plays through to the end of the play. But, yeah, I totally agree.
And it's right on their sideline. I think the biggest part, it's like right there where all their coaches and stuff are, and they're all clapping like right as it happens. But anyway, I just think about this game, bro, and I just don't want to minimize. I think we hadn't won against an opponent on the road, a ranked opponent, in 6 or 7 years.
0-5.
I think it's BV's first time in his tenure to have a road game win against a ranked opponent. Guys, Tennessee's a good team. I think they shot themselves in the foot the entire first half. They probably could have been up 13 points if they don't just do stupid shit, and if Heineke doesn't make that key play. I also believe the offense kind of the defense gave the offense time to find its rhythm. I still won't use identity because I still don't know what the hell our scheme is, but we definitely got into a rhythm of the game. And you're right. Mateer looks like a better athlete all of a sudden. You know what I'm saying? And to me, it just tells me, take the panties off, bro, and strap up and go be a baller. We know you're a baller, but I never saw Bake do that. So I'm not going to make the Bake comparisons no more. You don't get to be Reagan Mayfield anymore, bro. Like, you don't, because Baker, Reagan, Mayfield never had a game where we had to wonder, like, is he jocked up under there, or is he, you know what I'm saying, he got some bloomers or something? Like, yeah, that looked like pussyfooting it to me. And then all of a sudden you turn it on and you're balling again. Nah, bro, you're not getting that pass. So, but kudos on the win. I can't emphasize enough how much it means to find a way to win that game. And he was responsible for a lot of that. He made some tough plays. That first, I think it's the second scramble where he goes and it's 3rd and 16. I think it's Fowler who's with Kirk. And he says, oh, they're going to have to punt the ball. He hadn't realized that we got the hold. So it's 1st and 20. So that was a 3rd down. And he goes and gets that second really long 3rd down. I think that's what really woke his game up. I think
Mhm.
that's the time where he really said, okay, let me stop being scared. Let me take these bloomers off. Let me put my jock back on and let me go be a damn quarterback. Right. And you saw all of a sudden he's a different guy and they're making things happen. So I'm just happy. I honestly am happy to see us win a game like that. Even if I aged 2 years and lost 3 pounds, it was worth it because we won the game.
Yeah, it is. At the end of the day, what the playoff poll is going to come out this Tuesday. OU now is looking at wins over Michigan, Tennessee. It's really going to be irrelevant if they just win 3 more games. How I think at this point too, you need to beat Alabama, but you're no, it's going to have to be two losses. Going to be max. I think that they get in there because Miami lost tonight, but you're going to have too many teams there vying with one loss. So yeah, two is going to be it.
I
But
don't think so. I think we could lose a game and still get in because the ACC essentially eliminated themselves. They have no more good teams to play. They have 2 losses. The 2-loss ACC teams, but not a bunch of good wins, versus a 3-loss SEC team who also has good wins, is
yeah,
going to be something to discuss. So,
yeah, that's trying to
us,
sit. They're trying to mold that. If you beat Alabama, you have a lot of room for error in the final, the final stretch of the season. DMAC, I want to ask what what do you think the mentality was on the defensive side of the ball when you kind of touched on it a little bit, but when you've got DBs who just cannot seem to make any kind of resistance or provide any kind of resistance to the receivers that they're playing against, and Venables essentially is having to hold on to the rope and hold on to the reins to prevent the thing from getting away from him. And you see Oklahoma almost shift gears. And it was real simple. We talked about it last night. This team feels like a team where they are very situational and circumstantial, right? Depending on the circumstances of the game, it will tell how they play, right? So the entire middle part of the second quarter and really start of the third until the late third, fourth, it's like two completely different teams. But what do you think strategy wise OU is doing defensively when they're in those huddles and BV's having to decide, like, okay, Eli Bowen's an issue. Well, we're having an issue at safety where we're not wrapping up here. Like, how does he navigate play calls, not putting guys on too much of an island, but also doing the right stuff to get Tennessee into disadvantageous positions, third and long, and essentially to stop them in the red zone most of all?
I think the thing we all have to remember is the objective is to keep them out of the end zone. The objective is to stop them from scoring. We as fans get upset because of a big play, because of a third down conversion, because of a broken tackle or missed tackle or a mental bust. But guys, they had 17 points through 3 quarters. And when BV is calling the defense, like his objective, I mean, I think stats matter. I think accolades matter. I think those are all things that are like secondarily important to him. But in that game, what they were doing was working to the effect of their quarterback started seeing ghosts. I joked around on Twitter like, oh my God, Aguilar is trying to one up Mateer because Mateer is playing terrible. And I was like, Aguilar says, so was my beer, right? Because he throws those 2 picks. But in reality, the pressure was in his face. He wasn't just sitting in a clean pocket and threw the ball up. That's not what happened. In fact, he almost threw 2 other picks because Kip is literally cleaning out his entire chest plate as he's throwing the ball, and even on the pass interference on
Yeah.
Gullery, right? And
Yeah,
so
Kip was phenomenal.
that scheme, right? By the way, that scheme, like on defense, it's very clear what BD's trying to do. Our secondary has issues covering down the field. We have a couple of guys who we feel pretty good about. I'm going to speak to somebody who I thought played well, who should get more reps, but that's only my opinion. But he knows he's got the goods with his front. Guys, McKenzie's down, and they've got to go with 3 backers with Owen, Kip, and Sammy O, and they keep cooking. And by the way, Samuel was a distant third. Samuel gets juked out of his draws in the third quarter. Not even close. And I'm not trying to make fun of the guy, but Owen and Heineke and Kit plays well. And so strategically, BV's gotta keep the quarterback of the opposing quarterback in a jigsaw, right? In a chess match. Because if it's clean, the quarterback's gonna kill us. Remember, I told everybody last week, and I said Aguilar can throw the rock, but he's not going to beat us like Chambliss beat us. Chambliss, but I don't know if you guys saw the game today, but he took 140 yards today to the house. He took a 40-yard touchdown to the house, or maybe it was 37 yards, but I'm talking about a run. He's a running back. He's Russell Wilson. If you were watching college football in the early 2000s, he's Russell Wilson at Wisconsin. Go watch the film. Same size, same arm. He'll beat you with his arm, beat you with his legs. Aguilar is not. And Aguilar beat us. I told you they're going to throw the ball over the top, and we did, and they did. But our defense was able to corral him, get in his mind, make him make mistakes, speed up his clock, errant throws, because that's our strength, right? Both of our safeties got a pick tonight. That's awesome. I'm going to say this one right now, too.
Yeah.
I told you there are going to be plays when Eli Bowen's in perfect position and he's not even there. Their last touchdown, it could have been on air. Eli Bowen is too short. His arms are too short. Matthews is 6'3" with long arms, and the quarterback just throws the ball where Matthews can get it, and Eli Bowen is right there, and it's as if he's not there. Now watch this. They started, and I don't know if it was combo coverage. I think it was combo coverage. There's times in this game, I'm going to see if other people noticed it too, where they took another corner. When the receivers were both twins on one side, they left Eli as the nub backside, like a nickel. When they started going twins over, go watch. Third quarter, two receivers on the same side. Eli is playing the nub like a safety nickel. There's another corner bumped out, taking the slot receiver. Very interesting, because of the guys, it's just limitations in terms of, like, the kid's 5'9" with arms as long as mine, and he's going against dudes that are 6'3" who have very long arms. And so, it just is what it is. And somebody just said it. Did you guys see again? 1v1 fade route on him 2 weeks in a row. Jacoby Johnson, read step, speed turn. He turns into the guy like he's supposed to in man-to-man coverage. He's right there in his hip. By the way, Kid almost catches the ball anyway.
Yeah, he's just a good player.
Kid almost catches the ball, but he's in perfect coverage. And he's running with him, and he's 6'1", and he's got longer arms. It just makes sense to me to put Eli in a position where he's not. Guys, they run that bang 8 at the end of the game, and Eli is there, and it's as if he's not there. Kid makes the play, and Eli's not even in the play. So I think BV understands what the limitations are. I think they're going to continue to recruit at a higher caliber, a longer defender, a bigger defender. I would not be surprised if Eli sticks around. We just don't know anymore. Guys are on year-to-year contracts or year-to-year scholarships, so I'm just going to call a spade if he's not a sub-package guy. I think Jacoby's playing well enough to be a kid who's going to get some reps. I think what's 12's name? Jordan? Is 12's name?
Devin Jordan. Yeah,
kid's got a little pin in him.
And more athletic too. Like longer, more athletic. He's not a whole lot taller. Yeah,
so a little bit of pit bull in him.
Let's start there. Let's go position by position. You kind of real quick and break the defense down a little bit deeper. The safety play and just the secondary in general, it just felt hit and miss. Guillory had some plays. You talked about Jacoby making some stuff. RSJ has the pick. Peyton has the pick playing deep safety. He gets down there. It's basically a punt. That was one that you cannot drop that. Gets a pretty nice return on it. Well, what did you think of the safety play? Was there anything that stuck out that you're like, okay, this might be a good thing going forward? This is a personnel grouping going forward? I know you kind of touched on the Eli stuff, but was there anything that you say Alabama, LSU, Missouri are going to pick on this or are going to continue to threaten that? Or was there something where you said this is one of the better receiving cores that OU's played? It's in Neyland Stadium. It's about as tough as it gets from a defensive standpoint. The crowd's into the game. What were your thoughts of the secondary, and do you think that there is something there or not?
They made some plays, which I think was necessary when they had the opportunities presented to them. They came. Um, I was a safety my entire career until I played college ball, even my first year at OU. To me, Tennessee wants to throw that post, that bang eight, or the deep post. When they score the touchdown, the tight end is running across the formation. I know the tight end is the inside receiver, and tight end has to be inside out, but it just made too much sense to me for the safety to sink because that backside post is coming. Again, I'm just telling you the game as I saw it. And when he caught, it's the one on Eli. When he caught it, I wasn't surprised.
Mm-hmm.
But they had a good game tonight. Peyton missed some cleanup stuff. It wasn't RSJ tonight. It was Peyton. Peyton missed on some of the trash tackles. Peyton's there on the one. The guy barely steps out. His pinky toe was out of bounds. It's Peyton there with Heineke and Eli. There's some other plays where, again, just kind of cleaning stuff up. But I'm not going to sit here and say a bunch of terrible things just because that receiver core, I don't know if you guys saw it, but they've got 3 receivers with over 600 yards. There's no team in college football with 3 receivers with 500. They've got 3 receivers with 600, right? So those guys are all 6'3". They're all 4'4", long arm dudes. So, I do think Aguilar throws for 400 yards, but he gets 150 of those last 3 drives where they're just dinking the ball and they're getting 15, 16 yards a pop because we're trying not to let them score. But from a secondary standpoint, it's our weak link. Is it something we can tighten up? Yeah, I think there's things we can do to improve. I think both of those guys got a little bit of confidence tonight, right? I bet you they're in their own head saying, am I as good as I thought I was? Or last season, RSJ maybe. Both of those guys making a play on the ball, getting a chance to return the football, feel the ball in their hand. I'm telling you, that's important. Those things are important. And so seeing them have that success made me happy for them. This because we potted this. We've both been big fans of those guys for 3 seasons. RSJ, especially last year, having a very productive season. Peyton his freshman year. We loved Peyton his freshman year, right? And so seeing both of those guys have success bodes well. Jordan playing well, Jacoby playing well. I think, and I said it in August, I said it 2 weeks ago, I'm going to continue to say it. I think Eli is a guy who every single week we're going to see teams take advantage of his limitations in terms of biology because every team we play, guys, Alabama's receivers, number 5, number 11, and number 3. Oh, and Ryan Williams has had the dropsies. Ryan Williams is kind of in the doghouse, but I'm just saying, man. Somebody's asking about a screen. Anyway, I don't want to talk about that just yet. I don't want to talk about that stuff on offense.
Yeah.
Listen, man, our defense is good enough to beat everybody, including the warts we have. I think Valai needs to coach up his corners on how to. All he has to teach Guillory how to do is when he turns, Jacoby did it perfect. The hand goes on the chest. I can't show you guys my hand, but you don't grab. You push it's an arm bar. It's what it's called. You create an arm bar. They generally won't call it. And then you look up. He's got to practice doing that. And then the kid's got to rap. The hell? They score a touchdown because he just chooses not to rap.
There's a lot of that.
Bro, you're 5'11", 187, dog. Rap. You're wilding. I think Jacoby needs to play more. Gentry didn't play. Right? So it'll be interesting to see with the bye week. They probably said, hey, we get Gentry back. I think that really helps us a lot as well. Oh, I do have one other thing. Boggs played well. I called out Bogdanowski last week.
Much better than last week, yeah.
Clean in his fits, clean in his pass his pass assignments, Bogdanowski played well. So that's good because that added depth helps us in the events one of those guys have a bad game or an injury, something like that.
That man, we'll go to backer. Heineke, from an athletic standpoint, has really surprised me this season. I did not know he was a guy who can move his feet the way he does, man. He might be like, he's not Kip level in terms of like downhill, foot in the ground, explode, gonna play on Sunday and still be elite doing those same things on Sunday. But man, the way Heineke, he does two things that I think might be best in the linebacking room. One, he gets back on his feet. When he gets knocked down or knocked off of his feet, he is the best that I've seen on the team in getting back up. And that is at backer, when you're, getting cut blocked, you got running backs diving at your feet, you have got to have that skill. And his center of mass, his build, his strength, all of those things lend so well to him just being a great functional mover when it comes to the game of football and playing linebacker. I think Kip had one of his more highlight-filled games of the season in terms of just a chance to say, what we've got to have you make plays, not just make the tackle. And I think he was able to really expose that. And honestly, man, he may have even made some money just doing some different things, being a little more involved in some of the pressures where at different times in the season, you would have other guys, taking the bulk of that. RMT, it made you realize how much they rely on him late in the game to generate pressure off the edge. Okoye, I think there could have been a little more there from a pressure standpoint, and we'll get to the defensive line specifically. But just your thoughts on backer, D-Mac. Heineke, you've got Daniels, we'll throw him in there, just another solid game. And then, of course, Kip. Just your thoughts on that group.
I don't think this is a hot take. I think Heineke's better than McKenzie. I think Heineke suits this defense better than McKenzie, and I think McKenzie is a better sub package, early down, run down, dumper. Just the way the game is played. Now, Heineke has some Space Cadet moments from time to time, like, what the hell was that? But he also plays well in trash. He does. And I agree. He has a knack. He has an instinct. And listen, yeah, I'm sure people have their favorites. And this is not me saying McKenzie's not a great backer. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I don't want people to get the misconception that I'm saying like Eli. I think Eli is a liability at corner in the SEC. I've said it since August. McKenzie is a starting caliber backer, but with Kip, and when Kip and Heineke are in, we don't have to worry about running backs catching a quick out and taking it 17 like the running back did against Samuel. Right? And McKenzie's a guy who, that's the one area teams are going to try to scheme him up, get him in space on a running back option route, a running back wheel, something like that, God forbid, right? And he's going to potentially be an issue. McKenzie, but I think McKenzie plays on Sundays. McKenzie's a guy who's going to get drafted in the 6th round. Yeah. He's going to go to the right team, and he's going to stick around. But listen, Barry, I don't want to do the little engine that could. Heineke's a guy who could play on Sundays. Heineke has another year. Last year, my boy told me Heineke, and I was like, because he didn't play with Heineke, and I was like, Corey's Peoples? He was like, who the hell is Corey? Like, man, Corey Heineke. He was like, who the hell is that? He didn't play, right? Heineke was senior year, was my sophomore year. And I said, yeah, I mean, I played with a Heineke. And I said, ask him if he had his family member. And he was like, oh, yeah, he said he played with the buddy you played with. So, yeah, so he was bringing that name to my attention. I don't think he got any reps last year outside of special teams or whatever. But what he said is he was a 4.52 guy. He was like, Mackey, that guy's 4.52. I was like, what? He was like, Mackey, he can go. And I think a year in the program, he's a sharp guy. I can tell just by the way he plays the game. I like what Heineke brings to the table. I do. I like Heineke better with Kip than Heineke with Samuel. I hate when they do that freaking 22 starters and then it's always Samuel and Heineke and it's always McKenzie and Kip. I hate it. There are some good juices to Kip and Heineke playing together.
That was the
That
combo.
that crew together for a lot of the time tonight. It was a good mix. So yeah, I don't want to take anything away from Kobe. I like his game, but it's kind of like what are his weaknesses versus Heineke's strengths, and like Missouri, we need him. We're gonna need McKenzie against Missouri for sure because they have that power football, and we're gonna need somebody who can kiss the running back in the hole. Kendall Daniels played well. I gotta watch it again because he played a lot of second level coverage, but he was never around the play when they were throwing the ball. So I don't know if it was by scheme or if they just like the single receiver side because he's generally on the two receiver side. I gotta watch it again because I didn't really watch it with a keen eye towards him. I also want to speak to Powers. Powers gets beat by the tight end on a route, but he's in perfect coverage. And I have an issue when a player gets beat and they look dodo burn. I don't have an issue, guys, when a player is in perfect coverage. He's what, 6'1", 215? That guy is 6'5", 250, and the quarterback puts it on his fingertips. Powers can't make that play. I mean, I'm not saying he can't, but you know what I'm saying? He's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. He's going to get a minus. Coach is going to give him a minus for a big play, but he did what he was supposed to do. He wasn't you know what I'm saying, space cadet, and the quarterback made a great throw. So, yeah, backers, they made a ton of plays tonight. A ton. Owen Heineke's play comes to mind. Both Heineke and Kip have kill shots on the quarterback on blitzes. Kendall Daniels is wrecking shots, especially early. He was one of the few guys who was clean early in the game when we were kind of chucking up everywhere. Samuel has some good plays too. He has a face mask. To me, he's an athlete more than a football player. He's a guy they're trying to get to be an instinctual backer. The rest of the guys are backers. Kobe's a backer. Kip is a backer. Heineke is a backer. Sammy's a 6'1", 237-pound athlete who, can do a lot of the physical things that you ask a backer to do. He doesn't have the backer instincts of the other three. Solid game by them. Again, they found a way to win, and they made a lot of the plays happen that got us momentum. Got to give those guys a lot of credit for that.
I will say it felt like with Daniels, and we'll go kind of to the defensive line here. When RMT went out, they involved him in a few more of the pressures. They had him playing a little closer to the line of scrimmage, just as almost the just kind of another additional rusher at the line of scrimmage to create that threat, and then they would still drop him out quite a bit. I want to talk defensive line because when RMT goes down, Wine's transformation, when he was recruited by Oklahoma, he was a guy, they've talked on it. Colton Vasek decommits. Wine ends up being the guy. And we actually, I went back, we actually talked on one of those earlier shows, and we said that Wine's athleticism is through the roof better than what Vasek was at the time of the recruitment. The issue with Wine was he going to get his body where it needed to be, the same way PJ needed development, the same way RMT needed some development. What was Wine going to have the balls in the weight room and eating the food and doing all of the stuff that necessitates that? And man, he has done it. And for OU to lose a guy who's going to be a first round draft pick as an edge rusher, you bring in Okoye who still plays solid, but to have Wine and what he has become, and is a testament. This year we haven't seen so much hate on Jerry Schmidt, right? Them past seasons, you'll see like the criticisms, the ridicule. The players going down with injury. Hadn't been much of that this year, or as much. And sometimes we lose sight of the fact that you have a guy like Wine, you have a guy like Okoye, you have a guy like Kip, man, where that is all strength and nutritional staff. And I just want to show love because that is the part where you develop a team. And I know you're not a fan, but that's how you have 22 starters, is because you have guys who have developed their bodies, who have come up in the program, because not everybody is an off the bus 5-star athlete. So talk about the edge players, D-Mac, and then we'll move in. And I guess we can talk interior as well with Stone, Jackson, Halton, who has quietly had some of his best games these last 3 weeks. Talk about the front.
First things first, yeah, we talked about Wine when Vassic left, and we both liked him. And by the way, balled out. Last 3 weeks, balling. He's taken Marvin Jones Jr. starting spot. He started last week. They acted like, oh, RMT got hurt and he had to come in. No, that's not what happened. He was already playing opposite RMT. Marvin Jones Jr. was the first guy off the bench. But let me throw some flowers real quick. I think we should throw some flowers to PJ. PJ made a huge play on 3rd and short, cross faces. They run a stunt. He actually makes 2 big plays. They run a stunt, and they're all slanting to the strong side of the offensive formation. He gets into the gap, and then he catches Aguilar from behind. Again, if that's Chambliss, forget about it. And that's why people kept saying, we can't stop people. No, we couldn't stop Ole Miss on 3rd down because the quarterback was a difference maker. But then also PJ makes a phenomenal play where, by the way, it was really odd for me to see him show this level of athleticism or change of direction. He kind of dips in and then gets right back out into his passing lane, and he disrupts the play. Beautiful play he makes. 2 really good plays. I think it's really important to show the quality depth. I also want to give flowers to Okoye. He makes an NFL play. Okoye is like the new Stone, right? Okoye reminds me of Stone last year, where Stone was not necessarily raw, but just such a puppy, right? That Stone he would show flashes. This year he's been more refined and more, playing well, except for the stupid penalty. But Okoye, when he got skinny, he kind of takes a jab step and then he goes inside and gets skinny and just creases between 2 guys. And then he grabs the quarterback. Well, see how long? Like, he grabs him like 3 yards away and just pulls him in. That's NFL stuff, man. And having him develop he's going to be the next RMT. He's gonna be. Remember you would always be like, he's this close, because like RMT was like a puppy and he was a little too small, arms a little too short. He would always be that close to making the plays first 2 years. Okoye doesn't have those limitations. Long arms, taller guy, explosive through the hips. If Miguel Chavis can get him ready, he's going to be an absolute monster next year. So I want to give those guys their flowers.
For sure.
Marvin Jones played well. Wine was, again, I believe, the best defensive end. Again, a smart and explosive guy. He's kind of mean too. He's got a sarcastic streak to him. I like it. Got some Dan Cody in him. Kind of
little bit.
What I'm saying? Just a little bit of that nastiness to him. The edges played well. The tackles also played well. I mean, they couldn't run the football. I think they had 63 yards. Again, I think
1.8 yards a carry.
Yeah, Aguilar gets some late runs to kind of pick that average up a little bit, but like, they could not run the football. And so that front made a name for itself. They had given up 7 sacks all year, and I believe we got 5. I don't know if we end up with 4 or 5, but like, we're in his head all night. He's seeing ghosts. He's throwing the ball to us. He's making plays for our defense. The front played extremely well. I just want to say this one more time, guys. In the middle of the 4th quarter, after all the stuff that happened, they had 17 points.
Yeah.
And it's not like Auburn, where they should have had 2 more TDs, but the quarterback sucks, right? Aguilar's throwing dimes. He threw a couple to us. But again, we got to give ourselves credit for creating the opportunities. But like, he could connect dots. He could put the ball on your hands in a very catchable way. The defense was making plays that were putting him in positions to, create turnovers for us.
I think before we get over to the offensive side, it is important to say, like, since the Auburn game, there has been growth. We've seen it, even though you had the PI on Guillory, even though you had some errors and Bowen just getting beat. just from the measurables, right? The anthropometrics. DMAC is one of the words that I
The
like to
who?
use. Anthropometrics.
I
It
can't
is the
spell that word. Anthropomet, 5 syllables. Hell no, I
well,
can't spell that
it's a
word.
big one. So his anthropometrics are what it really is his limiting factor. But you've seen improvement, man. You've seen technical improvement by the guys. You have seen a team that just plays better as a unit. Tennessee, you're right, was a team that's going to complete passes. Aguilar's not going to miss a lot of those throws, and just the guys were in better position. The Arnold was missing guys. I like that you brought that game up. Arnold was missing guys who were wide open
Yes.
behind the defense with no with nobody within sight. And in this one, Aguilar, well, when he made a mistake, it was a player who was in position, right? Even the interception that RSJ has, Daniels is right there. Daniels knows it's a pick before the ball's even in RSJ's hands, and then Bowen, same thing. He's basically fielding the punt. Let's talk offensive football, DMAC. You touched on it already, and I actually want to go QB last because as OU finishes up this season, that'll be the most important position for them and really the deciding factor in these next few games. It appears that the defense is going to travel. They're going to play well at home, and they're going to be a mainstay. They've taken offenses that have been really good and held them vastly under their normal productivity. But I want to start offensive line and just what your thoughts were. This team has had a mind shift or a shift in focus, especially since the emergence of X Rob and since guys have gone down. You've moved Foje out to right tackle, and it's affected pass blocking. But you talked about it last pod and tonight, just what it means for the run game. But how do you think those guys performed? Do you think it was more good than bad, or do you think it was really a toss up and OU's just fortunate with the defensive plays to come out with a win?
I performance wise, our quarterback didn't do our offense any favors early on. Everybody saw. I love that Kirk Herbstreit exposed. By the way, you caught it first. Barry caught it in the Michigan game. Barry said, D-Mac, did you see it? Mateer throws the ball and both feet are in the air in the Michigan game. And by the way, this is not the first game he's done it. He does that. That's a part of who he is as a quarterback. I don't know how the hell his quarterback coach and or Ben Arbuckle has not corrected that. I don't care about the sidearm and the arm angles. You cannot, with good consistency, throw an accurate ball if both feet are in the air. That's just very difficult to do. I see we got some super chats, so we'll address those here in a bit. O-line. Fasusi got beat a couple times, but he's going to get beat a couple times. He's a pressure pup. The run game, part of it is we don't run the ball enough. We'll talk about Arbuckle here. I don't care that we won that game. Listen to me. Without our defense and our All-American, potentially Heisman ballot kicker, we lose that game because of our freaking coordinator. What the fudge? I want to cuss so bad, but like complimentary football, third and fourth quarter, I'll give us credit for that. But like, what in the H? What in the H? You know what I'm saying? I'm saying that because I told my mama I wouldn't cuss. So there it is. But so generally, when you're talking about an offensive lineman, you want to talk about when you say their name, that means they're generally not playing well. How many times did you hear Foje? I think he had one hold, but it wasn't even a bad one.
No.
Second straight start. We haven't seen any just short corner sacks like we were seeing, or just mad dog, you getting punked, dog. We ain't seen it. Again, if Fasusi's playing left tackle in the SEC, he is holding his own on enough plays. He is handling business as an 18-year-old true freshman. Did you guys started to see when we started to get some lanes third quarter? Do you guys know where we were running the ball? right behind ELP. By the way, the touchdown that should have been a touchdown where X-Rob falls down at the 1 inch yard line, he's running right behind ELP.
Yep.
Right behind the left guard. So when you ask me again, in a vacuum, still the weakest link. Well, shit, our quarterback's the weakest link. Again, we're gonna call a spade a spade.
Yeah, I don't think the line's the weakest link, man.
Nah, our quarterback is the link. Every person that I talked to on and we were cracking on Twitter, quarterback. But the ceiling is not extremely high yet. I have a question. Is our center coming back, or is he a 1 year rental?
I think he has one more year.
If he has another year, that bodes well. And then 54 is a senior, though, right? 54 is done.
I think he's done. Yep.
Yeah. Which is not good or bad, but that unit, I said it on the pre-pod, like I'm like I gotta stop getting distracted. My undiagnosed ADHD be getting me sometimes. But I said on the pre-pod, like those guys have an opportunity to continue to improve. It's 2 weeks in a row in the SEC game.
Center's coming back.
Okay, that's 2 weeks in a row, guys. SEC football, the offensive line has produced a 100-yard rusher, and we're not talking about against Kentucky and Vandy. We're talking about against Ole Miss top 10 and Tennessee top 15. So you know what I'm saying. And a lot of the problems that are created in the run and pass game are scheme. Our scheme sucks ass. Our running scheme is trash. We line up shotgun, whatever side the running back's on, the ball's going into the play side A gap or the play side B gap. I don't even got to look at it. Whatever, if we're in shotgun and X-Rob's on the right side, we're going play side A gap or we're going play side A gap or across the formation B gap. There's no eye candy. There's no shenanigans. We don't turn our back. We ran the one QB draw where we ran the jet sweep and he took the step, and then he went through the hole to get that big first down. Thank you, Jesus. But that, to me, that should be a part of our identity. That play that Mateer runs, by the way, O-line blocks it perfect. Just we're talking about the O-line. It's blocked perfect. That should be a play we run 4 times a game, and we run a pop pass off of it, and we run the jet sweep off of it, and we run the jet sweep, QB draw, and then action off of it. Like, that's where you create an identity where teams say, oh, shit, which one is it? Right? Teams don't. It's kind of like the way we ran it tonight was kind of like a trick play. That's what it felt like. Like, oh, we're going to trick them. Like, no, that should be a part of who we are. So teams have to study that, and we have something off of it. I digress. Offensive line was adequate. I don't care how many sacks we got tonight. I don't remember. What I do know is a lot of times he would retreat right versus step up in the pocket or trust the play and throw the ball. And then there are a couple of times we're in 3rd and 4 and we're running everybody deep. What the H is that? Like, what are we doing? We're in, you know what I'm saying? We're in 3rd and 5 and we're running shallows at 1 yard. Like, what are we doing? So, yeah. Offensive line. I said this is the line I want to see. Thank you. Thank you, Arbuckle and BV, for listening to the pod. I think there are a lot of people who want to see that group. So it's not like I was asking for something that was abnormal. We wanted to see ELP. We wanted to see Foge. By the way, Foge is a tackle. Don't move him back to guard ever again. Leave him at right tackle. He might be the bookend right tackle for the next 3 years. Leave his ass there.
Yeah.
Right? Leave ELP at left guard. Tell Ozita if he wants to play that he can take 54 spot if he gets better next year.
Yeah.
Like, get your guys set. You know what I'm saying? So that we can have that continuity. Because next year, those guys are going to come back in the SEC and say, we know all about this. We ready to play ball. Hell yeah, I want a different OC. And then you guys can cut this and make it whatever you want. Hell yeah, we have the shittiest offensive scheme in the SEC. Tell me whose offense is worse than ours. I'll wait. Come on, chat. We got 339 people listening. Somebody tell me whose scheme. Somebody tell me what our identity is. Mackey, we are a, RPO. Nah, our Auburn just has a quarterback who's more. No, Auburn's scheme is not terrible. Auburn's scheme is Tennessee light. Auburn's scheme is
Yeah,
very close to Tennessee's scheme.
they just don't have a Q,
Arkansas's offense is sexy. They just don't have players.
especially since old Petrino has taken over, man.
Yes.
Yeah, they
Arkansas
look
offense is
good.
sexy. Kentucky's
They were
offense
real
is better
close
than
to beating
ours.
Mississippi State tonight if the guy doesn't make an incredible play on 4th and 4. Like they were real close to winning that game.
By the way,
So
Arkansas's quarterback is nice. He's nice.
yeah.
Anyway,
Is it a power spread? Like it almost feels like that's what they want it to be, like a Florida Tebow light, where you're doing a lot of this QB run. Like what is the offense trying? Because you don't really have a downhill run game necessarily.
they
You
don't.
run out of
That's
the
why I say
shotgun.
we should be in pistol. If we were in pistol, I would feel a lot better about our offense.
Interesting. So that I want to touch on, just kind of close the stuff on offensive line. Knowing your personnel is so key, and it is such a difference having a guy like Eddie Pierre Louis doing the pulls and just how he finishes blocks when he gets out there versus a guy like Foje who at right tackle has the feet to hang and has the ability to play long and prevent those bodies from getting to the quarterback, and you can finesse it a little more out there. It's a little more the mindset is just a little bit different. Whereas, man, when you're playing inside, you have to be physical and you have to not be afraid to be violent at the point of attack. And you just have to know your personnel and the kind of game that each individual kid is wanting to play. And man, for 55 EPL, man, I've been a fan of him since he got to Norman. I think he was a guy who could change the temperament since he's played on the line of scrimmage. DMAC, I know we touched on it. I want to say it's like 3, 4, maybe 5 pods ago at this point. The talk was, do you take some of the lumps and play him, or do you keep sitting him and roll with the Ozeta or whoever else it is?
Let me address
And
that. Let me address that.
go
Let
for
me
it.
address that. You play an EPL and then you commit to running the ball. Remember I talked about it. Like if you can run the ball, then you can run action.
Yeah.
Like if the scheme is already not working, which you want to do a bunch of kind of hodgepodge quick game, which we still did a ton of that tonight, right? We did some hodgepodge quick game. But if the scheme is not very successful like it was last week, that's why it doesn't make sense to me, B. Everything he did made sense. He went to EPL the last 4 possessions of the game. We ran the football in the second half, and X-Rob is making plays. And then with EPL in the game, the last 3 possessions were dedicated to the pass, even though Mateer can't hit anybody. Like that made no sense to me. And then we get to today, and I know you haven't asked me about it yet, but what the H are you doing? We pick up the 3rd down with that pass. By the way, they ran the same concept tonight that Mateer missed against Ole Miss. They ran the goal route outside, and they run the slant return with Satania on 3rd down, and we catch it. We get the first, and then the next play, we run a freaking pass. They got 4 minutes left in the game. You know what I'm talking about? Against Ole Miss, if he throws it to Satania probably gets the first in that game, but he throws it. He throws it to Giovanni. But this game, he throws it to Satania, and then a play or 2 later, we like, what the hell are we doing? We almost lose the game.
It was the next play. I think it was the next play.
It is. It's first down. Somebody said second. Bullshit. It was first down. We throw the ball on a boundary slant 5 yards away, and he's getting jammed hard, and we still throw the ball.
That's correct. Yeah.
Bro, eat it. Just take a knee. The clock is going to run. We're up 9 points. That's so bad. That's so bad to call the play from the offensive coordinator. It's equally bad to throw the ball as your 4th year starting quarterback. 3 years in the program with this OC. That's so bad. We almost lose the game, and all we have to do is, and by the way, they can't stop the run. We're running good. Again, we're running good. I listen, bro. We won the game. A win is a win. But that's fireable, especially after last week where we could. Do you realize we could have beat Ole Miss? We'd be a top 10 team right now if all he does is run the ball. Now, I said it last week, and the logical side of Mackey says first year in a new conference, first year in a new environment, first year with new skill guys, and really kind of getting a better understanding of the defenses, the talent level, the universities. I do believe Arbuckle takes this year on the chin, right? I mean, we got 7 wins, so we can't compare him to Seth. We didn't get to 7 last year, but we're at 7 wins in the middle conference. I think his job is pretty safe if I'm being logical here, right?
Yeah.
Emotion pisses me off. But from a logical standpoint, I think they go into the offseason, and I think we see a much improved version of him next year. But if not, we fire him. And if we lost today, he's on the chopping block. If we lose tonight's game, he's on the chopping block. He better be glad we have a kicker who my new nickname for him is the eraser, because he erases your shitty ass plays. When you do some shitty ass stuff, he erases them and we still get points. He kicked 3 50-yard field goals tonight.
Buddy. Yeah. That's bananas.
He's the eraser.
I want to go back to the play here in a little bit. But it wasn't the slant call. You're right, it was a slant to the boundary. That is
Yes.
the kind of play that you call when it's like 3rd and 3 and you've got to pick up a first. It felt so incredibly inappropriate. And it almost feels like, and DMAC, you played the game at a high level. You've coached. It almost feels like you go back to when Lincoln Riley got to Oklahoma, and this is a little bit of a tangent. He got the Big 12 in that first year, right? He got to not play teams of this caliber, still had a 2-loss team, right? He also had Coach Stoops, seasoned veteran coach who's been around the greatest offensive minds that the game has to offer, right? I don't think anybody would argue with that. So Riley had his learning curve expedited in that way, and he also got to do it against far lesser competition. Now, in Arbuckle's case, in his defense, and really in Oklahoma's defense, and I think the good thing about this season, if this team gets to the playoff, you know who they are. There's not going to be any warts or anything new if OU gets to the playoff and plays one of these top 5 teams. There's not going to be anything was like, man, we didn't realize that was a glaring issue in this team because they play soft competition all year. But I kind of go back to say it feels like he's running plays more so than, and I know it's the kind of a weird thing, more so than doing anything to set up specific players for success. It just feels like there's more things he could do with a Satania, more things he could do with an X-Rob, even in the pass game. Like with how good X-Rob catches the ball, I'm surprised that there's not more wheel routes, more things where OU and Riley was great getting Brooks in space. Like 2 or 3 times a game, he would catch a ball with just green grass in front of him where nobody is there. So want to kind of shelf that, go to receiver play. You had Jermichael Green show up. He made some plays tonight when it counted. Satania has continued to be a mainstay for the offense at the receiver position. Burks has some good catches too. I just think what you're getting from Satania is just more valuable at key points in the game. But how do you feel that those guys played?
So we've got 6 super chats and we haven't addressed them. It's late, so I just want to pay homage to folks. The Dean machine. Can we get an NIL paycheck put and right? Send out somebody to put some bread in his pocket.
Yeah,
salute.
man.
The chances of winning out, 35% is what Sheldon says. Barry, what do you think?
Winning out, Tennessee was going to be one of the tougher ones. The fact that they won that, I'm going to put it at 25% of winning out. I'm going to say 25%.
Yeah, for me, it's a 1-game season every week. So if you ask me, Tuscaloosa, I say 49% just because it's a away game. I think it's a toss-up, but I think the home crowd helps them. I do believe our front is going to be an issue for them. So our front is going to create opportunities for us to get stuff. The defense needs to be hungry when the ball is available. I think we beat Missouri pretty handily now with their quarterback out. We're going to get the same
Yeah.
guy we got last year with Jackson. He's the backup's going to be their guy.
And
the
in
rest of the year.
Norman, it's in Norman. OU's
Yeah.
defense has played so good
Yeah.
in Norman.
So I think that's an 80%, so long as we don't do the crazy things we do to find ways to lose games. And I think we got the revenge factor with LSU too. I think there's a pretty high likelihood we could win out. There's a lot of pressure that's going to be on this game. Bama's going to have as much pressure as we have. Bama is going to be high strong, wanting to make amends for last year. If we come out, I put us at, I like 35%. I think that's fair. Sheldon, I think that's a solid number. Somebody said, guys, let's be real. The biggest question fans want to know is Tay going to even have? I know, right?
Yeah. They will put that one up on there again.
Yeah. Salute. Dallas asked what needs to happen on offense to keep winning. It'll be interesting to see. And Barry, I'll let you hit this one after I do. But I believe tonight the level of confidence improved in a way that they haven't had since probably Michigan. And I just remember, I always talk about this, guys, like, especially in the high school or the college game, confidence and momentum are such a big deal in college football. It just is. Mateer looked like a wuss for two. Like, he looked like he was waiting for somebody to, like, oh, poor baby, does your thumb still hurt? I don't give a damn if somebody squeezed his hand and he said, ow. Guess what? I had a broken finger too. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't care. Then don't play. Play. Do what McKenzie did and give somebody your helmet and let somebody else go play. So salute to him for overcoming that 2.5 quarters into the game and saying, I'm a ball player, because he looked like the dude that we really like, right? Like, I'm going to go out there and just figure it out, make plays with my hair on fire. And that's what he did the last 25 minutes of the game. And so, like, for me, I literally, if you're playing, don't make excuses. And he stopped making excuses and he started making plays. And he was a big reason why we're able to win. But as far as our offense goes, somebody said it in the chat. I think the offense is Mateer, which is trash. That's trash. The offense is quarterback, figure it out. Or quarterback, run game. Or every once in a 4 or 5 plays, a decently set up running back run scheme, and X-Rob can get through some trash. Our offensive scheme is trash. And I'm sure they're going to hear this. It's facts. We kicked 3 50-yard field goals. We scored a pick 6, a touchdown, and X-Rob squirts through the hole because they've got to have everybody at the line of scrimmage. So there's no third-level defender. So if he gets through, he's out of there. Outside of that, we can't throw the ball 10 yards. Our scheme draws up no easy plays. Our receivers get bombed more than any receivers in the country. I feel bad for our receivers. They catch the ball and somebody's on their ass like flies on shit. Excuse my candor. My mom is asleep. True or untrue? We don't ever get to catch the ball and look pretty running 20, 30 yards and guys are getting yak. Satania gets it every once in a while. But other than that, we don't have a bunch of plays drawn up that our guys have the ability to do that. You never see another game where there's never a play where guys are schemed up to be open. You see the play that Tennessee has? Hold on, Barry. I'm on a rant. Tennessee calls a play. The receivers just happen to both do the whole thing, and they caught the penalty on them. So they call a play. It's a double post or a double slant, and then the tight end is dragging across the formation the other way. He's wide open. They score a touchdown. It's a penalty. Josh goes back to it 5 plays later in the game. And guess what happens? He's wide ass open again. He doesn't score this time because they're in the middle of the field. But like, that's an OC says, oh, when they play zone, no one's covering backside. So they call a play. Right, they call a play. The kid scores, but there's the penalty. The penalty I've never heard of in my life until tonight. Okay, whatever. They call it on both teams. I'm like, all right, it's fair. They go back to it 5 plays later, guys. When they see us in zone, They go back to the play. They run the tight end delay, double slant play side. Tight end's running the drag, essentially, back across the formation, and he catches it and gets 29 yards. That is called having a scheme that says, oh, when they're in this, we're going to do that, and we're going to attack it. We don't have any of those plays. Sorry. What's your
Yeah,
take?
man. Yeah, I think the offense is good enough to win these next 3 games. I think at the end of the day, the team has last year it felt like they were just so depleted from a talent standpoint at different spots. At receiver, you had lost everybody. On the offensive line, you were. This isn't a knock on Howland, but Fasusi is such a massive upgrade at left tackle. Oh, you didn't have anybody on their offensive line a year ago that looked like Fasusi. OU
Or Foge.
or Foge, right? OU has guys on the offense this year. OU didn't have a guy like Satania catching passes, right? Nick
No.
Anderson wasn't consistent like that. You had X Rob, and at the end of the year, I mean, X Rob, and credit to Joe John, X Rob was your best offense to close out the season, and really
Facts.
should be your primary carrier going forward now. I think the biggest question is Venables gutsy enough, and is he courageous enough in this situation to say all the pressure is going to be on Alabama in this next game, right? Your LSU's not really feeling it at this point, but all of the pressure is on Alabama, and if you win that football game, you set yourself up to have a big freaking year. Bob would tell you, Coach Stoops would say, you're not winning a championship if you can't consistently run the ball. This is the perfect opportunity at this point to say there's 3 games left. OU ran it all over Alabama a year ago. The Alabama couldn't stop X-Rob last season. This is the perfect jumping off point to say we are going to bias the offense, and we're going to be 60-40. We're going to be 65-35. We are going to run the ball to set up everything else that we do, and try to be as mindful. And this wasn't really a Blaylock game, right? The Blaylock had a few good carries. X-Rob has some things the same way Blaylock has track speed, and if he gets loose, he's gone. X-Rob is just so patient and so good at dancing in the line of scrimmage in a scheme where everything isn't always clean, and he is never just untouched, right? In Riley's scheme, you would have guys who just by the time they were through that line of scrimmage that they had not even been touched. And in this scheme with these guys on the O-line, you have to have a player who is good at making guys miss at the line of scrimmage, making guys miss in the hole, and then having the speed to handle business after that. So if OU can say we are going to become a downhill, hit you in the mouth team, which it felt like in that second half, that was the identity. Was we are going to lean on you, we're going to bleed clock, we're not going to let you get the ball back. And if they don't throw the interception off that stupid play call,
Well,
Tennessee doesn't get the ball back. So this is the perfect game. I actually, DMAC, and I want I don't know if the Alabama game looks. If OU wins that game, I think it looks pretty similar to what played out tonight. OU runs the ball. They're going to give up shots. They're going to give up big plays in the pass game. The difference is, does Alabama take care of the football a little better than Tennessee does? You don't have the 3 picks. You don't have, but I think that the interceptions couldn't have come at a better time, right? OU, even just these past 3 weeks, have started to take a lid on that, off of that, and we've seen in past years that once it starts happening, guys get confident. Guys are a little more explosive getting to the ball. The ball just starts to bounce in your favor, right? It just like it bounced up to RMT. So what does the scheme if there's going to be a scheme, D-Mac, and we'll kind of close it out right here tonight. And this takes us right back firmly to John Mateer. What does the scheme need to be for this team to reach what it is fully capable of? Is there an answer or a small shift that they can make that they got from tonight, something that they can glean, something that they can say, you just beat a top 15 team on the road that is still going to be right on the cusp of the top 12 as they continue to win out? What can OU take from this to springboard them into achieving some of the things they want to get done this year?
So first, I want to touch running back because we didn't touch as a group. I'm going to be very quick. Blaylock, I don't think got any carries, if one. And I think that's positional malpractice again. Just because X-Rob took the number one running back spot, I don't understand why a team says at corner we have to switch 8 guys in arbitrarily and we have to put the fourth best linebacker in, but on offense, the guy who's been pretty much our best running back all year doesn't get any opportunities. For all we know, Blaylock could have took 170 earlier in the game. To me, it's positional malpractice to not have a scheme where 2 running backs are ready to go. That's my opinion. X-Rob was the difference again. Even the play he fumbles, the guy literally, I mean, everybody's learning that technique. He literally punches down on the ball. Good job by the defender. I'm glad. I was hopeful that they wouldn't bench him for that. Okay. Mateer, I've already discussed in some detail. He still played terrible. And there are some plays schemed up down the field. They just aren't very witty, strategic, maybe is the word I would say. They're very basic. You know, we ran a shallow, an in cut, and a post concept on 1/3 and long. They showed the behind the quarterback view, and they're a man. That's an easy cover. We ran a ton of shallow against man, and they tackled us short a couple times. And then we ran the slant return. We used to call it 617, 619. You're running outside release fade, and the inside guy has an option route against the man defender. Satania is really good at that. That's a play that we take advantage of and have had some success. Very basic. I believe, even after the win, the offensive plays that our players are using versus what other teams are using against us, it's just not in the same ballpark. So we are at an extreme disadvantage there. I also believe our quarterback for 20 minutes or for 40 minutes was a shell of himself, but I do believe he gained his confidence back the last quarter and a half, right? And so I think that bodes well for us offensively. I have seen us run pistol, which is why I know we have no identity, because it seems to me like we would have our base packages and we'd stay in them, but we're always like we're just trying stuff, right? Sometimes we have the nub. You see that we've been having the running back offset, and then you'll have Canning in front of him as a nub, like a nub behind the guard, not even like a sniffer outside the tackle, but like behind the guard. He's like a nub, right? It's like we just try shit. Excuse my French, but I believe this game gave them momentum and belief that we are going to be a power running football team who supplements that with quick game. I didn't see one action shot, which was wild to me. I thought for sure when we got one of those turnovers, at least one time we would do some action and then take a deep post, a deep fade, a deep cross, a deep corner, something. We never ran it once. I think BV got comfortable with our kicker, which is great. Use him and lose him. That kid keeps kicking like that, he's going to the NFL. I mean, taking advantage of a weapon like that, that's a big advantage to have. If we didn't have him, we would have been in trouble. we would have been put in some situations where we'd have had to figure some stuff out, right? Because they had a lot more likelihood to score touchdowns. Those field goals kept us in position where we could take more field goals. So that helped. But Barry, I think our identity is still up in the air. I think we can hang our hat that we have a running back that we can depend on. I didn't realize he ended up with 115 yards on like 17 carries. He's averaging like 6-7 yards a
Yeah.
carry,
It's like right under 7. Yeah.
I still think that it was a mistake to not give Blaylock. Blaylock came in for a play or two, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he was in on. I think he was in on like 4 or 5 plays. I don't know if he was injured or something happened. Like that. That is kind of crazy. I remember the one carry, but it is wild that he would only get. I'm curious now. I'm gonna have to go and see snap count. Because
Yeah.
now I'm curious if he played at all.
He played a couple plays early in the game,
Yeah.
but he didn't play much, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't get a carry. Offense, we still have a lot of questions to answer.
Mm-hmm.
Identity-wise, we have a bunch of questions left to be answered. Coordinator-wise, he's got to continue to grow up and improve. Again, if we lose this game, guys, that's a fireable offense he does with 4 minutes left in the game. Because we win the game and our quarterback is gaining his momentum and confidence back, I believe it gives him the opportunity to grow. When I say fireable, I'm not saying I think he would get fired, but those are the type of things people do, and they deserve to be fired based upon what we're paying him year one in the conference.
Yeah.
I don't think OU would make a decision that adverse so fast, but it might deserve it. It might garner it. But we got the dub. I'm excited about that. Mateer seems to have gained his confidence back. I'm excited about that because the material we saw for since Texas was trash. And the material we saw Q3, Q4 is more in line with the material we saw early in the game, early in the season. I just want to see us be able to attack teams over the middle of the field and at the second and third level of the field. If we can't do that, we're going to lose at least one of those games.
D-Mac, before we get out of here tonight, man, let's do a quick gorilla nuts for the fans. Fans, in the chat, type who you think should be gorilla nuts player of the game, offensive and defensive side of the ball. D-Mac, as we do, I'm going to let you go first. We'll go defensive side of the ball. Offense, I don't know if we have a whole bunch of choices. It might just be our boy in the short shorts, in the booty shorts. But I'm gonna let you go first on the defensive side of the ball, DMAC. For this one, there was a lot of guys to pick from, but if you had to choose one on that side, who was your Gorilla Nuts defensive player of the game?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Heineke. Obviously the safeties did some good things. Kip did some good things. The DNs did some good things. I really liked Heineke stepping up into a play where the starter was hurt, and he obviously has the strip sack. He also has some other really key plays in the first half. He has another sack, I believe, or he helps get a sack. Great game by him. He has 2 terrible missed tackles. However, the one where the guy steps out of bounds by like a step, and then another one where he is on the sideline or he's like up the hash mark. But really good job stepping up. I think Fowler and Herbstreit got some bad information when they were saying McKenzie's been the alpha. I think that's pretty clearly been Kip all season. But in this game, Heineke, I believe, made a claim to say I should get some like starting reps. By the way, somebody said Wine is a comparable person to Dusty. Dusty was a 3 technique. Wine is definitely a D end. There's no comparison.
Yeah, Wine's more Dan Cody than he is Dusty. And
or
he's
Chias. Justin Chias, you remember him?
Mm-mm.
Baller. Oh, he's OG. He's like a couple years after me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So man, I'm actually gonna go Wine, and really I'm gonna go for Gorilla Nuts player of the game. Just the defensive end room as a whole stepping up. You know, you lose. I don't think it can be overstated how important having a guy like RMT in a game like that. He's the guy who seals the deal, so you don't have those passes completed, right? He's the guy who late in the game puts pressure on the offense to get the ball out quick. You don't have a bunch of time sitting there to let your receivers get down the field. You're not picking up chunk yardage. And a lot of times he just shuts the game down on a sack. How many times have we seen
Yeah.
defensively OU have the opportunity to be beaten at the end of a game, and RMT just seals the deal because they get the sack on first or second down, and then the offense really can't do anything. It's long yardage. They're stuck. They're in neutral at that point. For Wine to come up big as he did, for PJ to come up big as he did, Okoye to give some quality reps, and just all of those guys, MJJ, who I think athletically, man, he might be. It's between him and Okoye to me in terms of the two best athletes, like best movers. Obviously,
Okay.
RMT is your best pass rusher, but best movers. In other words, you go to the next level, and they're a guy you might flex out at backer, potentially, right, in the NFL. A guy who is potentially a backer in like a 3-4 scheme. I think MJJ, Okoye are the two best athletes over on that side of the ball, or in that room. But I think them stepping up in the midst of losing a guy that big, that is gorilla nut stuff, because they had to, man. If they don't play to that standard, there are more shots down the field. There's more opportunities for that secondary to get beat. So just a massive undertaking by them. Offensive side of the ball, D-Mac, I'm going to let you. I don't know. You might pull a curveball here, but I'm actually going to go Gorilla Nuts player of the game. A little bit of a curveball. I'm going to say Satania. He has had last week against Ole Miss. He fumbles the ball, loses the game. He has been such a steady piece to the offense. The pass game is not great, but when OU has needed first downs, in this one they needed a big first, he came up big. He is the only guy who creates explosive plays that go for scores, right? On that side of the ball in the receiver room. So I'm going to go Isaiah Satania. Who do you got offensive Gorilla Nuts player of the game?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the young offensive guys. I'm gonna go with EPL. I'm gonna go with OJ. Really, those two. Those two have had to step in as backups who have not been getting a lot of quality reps. And again, Foje is a guy who you just didn't hear his name a bunch. That means the side he was on was being managed pretty well. Think about how many times we heard Derek Simmons' names against lesser teams, even,
Yep.
right? And so to have a true frosh on the left and right hand side bookend tackles, and then have another. I guess EPL is a sophomore. I don't think he's a frosh. I think he played enough last year. Maybe he got 4 in his red shirt. I don't know. So potentially a redshirt freshman and 2 freshmen at those 3 positions with SEC measurables, SEC talent, getting big time game reps. You just can't measure the value of what that means for those 3 young men. I'm inclined to say X Rob, but I think X Rob's a guy who's shown he can do it. Guys, he's got vision, he's quick, and he's fast. He kind of reminds me of a Brooks. He kind of reminds me
Yeah.
of, just a bigger guy, but faster than yet, fast enough as he needs to be, and finds the little areas other guys can't get to. But the answer is Sandell. Our kicker won us that game for sure. But those offensive linemen I'm excited about. Fasusi's getting baptized right now, but he's still getting his opportunity to really entrench himself as a guy who we can depend on in the years to come. Again, I'll start the call like I ended the call. We found a way to win. And because we found a way to win in the SEC, that's what matters. I don't know if you guys saw the Georgia game. They found a way to win. I don't know if you guys saw Texas. Texas pissed me off today. They almost found a way to lose 3 weeks in a row, but they found a way to win. I'm super glad that we also found a way to win. So salute to us.
Yeah, man. OU joined the SEC, one, to get big matchups in Norman, to help the economy in the city, right? The games
Right.
in the Big 12 were getting stale. But from a football standpoint, one of the reasons OU joined the SEC, DMAC, is to know what the heck they got when they get into the postseason. You guys, and not to play like yesteryear, when you guys played Florida State in 2000, you knew what the warts, what the weaknesses were, and what the strengths were of your team, because all of those things got exposed throughout the season. You
Right.
either saw the best competition that season, what was either in your own locker room, right? Guys you were playing on the practice field, or it was against Nebraska, K-State, Texas, Texas A&M. You played games against teams that sharpened you. And I
Yep.
think it is really important and cannot be understated again. Just not in a world where all you got to do is get hot at the end of the year, man, knowing what your game is, knowing what those weaknesses are such an advantage versus getting to the CFP and being surprised. So I know this is a little pie in the sky, a little bit of a glass half full perspective, but I do think it's true. You're about to see, or you will have seen, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, and then you're finishing up with Mizzou, LSU. Um, you have every opportunity to know what kind of team you are. And if you get through that gauntlet, DMAC, you got some confidence, man, because any team you play in the first round is probably not going to be as talented as any of the Ole Miss, Bama, Alabama teams, unless you see those teams, or an Ohio State, right? Taking some of those guys out there. Any
Yep.
team in the first round is very likely not as good as those teams. And Alabama, what are they, 2 losses or 1 loss? But
One.
they won.
They
So
should
not,
have lost to golly, South Carolina. Was
yeah,
it South Carolina? They should have lost. I think it was South Carolina last week. They should have lost. They
yeah.
came back and won.
So the pressure is, I think it's still on them, but having 1 loss, there's a little bit of wiggle room. OU has a chance to make this a really good season, and because of that, you can't throw the season away. You can't throw what they've got going away, and I think there is ample reason to still be excited about this program. D-Mac, quick closing thoughts before we get out of here, man.
Yeah, we found a way to win. Excited for our guys. I know they're enjoying the plane ride back. Um, Defense had some things they need to work on, but man, they showed up in a lot of ways. You know what? I didn't speak to this, and I'll say this, Barry. Coach V has to learn or has to figure this out on the fly. As a team, our just how we function, our in-game play, our awareness in situational circumstances, our inability to really leverage the clock. There are some warts in terms of game management that he needs to create a plan with Kevin Wilson or one of those other guys who says, hey, your only job is to use chat GTP or whatever to tell me what the best thing to do is in certain situations.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because we make bad decisions all the time that'll come back to kill you. But anyway, we got the dub. I don't think we've won 7 games in 3 years. So we're at 7. Yeah, we have winnable games. We have games that if we play well will prominently put us in position to be in the playoffs. I'm excited about that. And I'm excited that our quarterback got his mojo back. I'm
Mm-hmm.
excited about that. I want to see if he can carry that momentum into the next game. I do not have a ton of faith in Arbuckle. Barry, how long have I been alluding to the offense needs to show more?
Since Michigan.
Like, this is not something that I said when we started to struggle. I was saying it when we were winning, like, Barry, it don't look that good, bro. I hope there's more, because if there's not more, we're in trouble. And maybe Kevin Wilson. Okay, maybe Kevin Wilson can add some extra juice because Kevin Wilson used to cook for us and for Ohio State. Cook. He has cooked in his past, and I would love to implement some of the things he's done. But tonight, the win is a win. Really good doing the pod with you tonight. I'll do 10 thoughts tomorrow sometime.
Yeah.
So guys, look forward to me jumping on tomorrow to do my 10 thoughts. Appreciate you guys for jumping on. It's 316 people still on. It's pretty crazy. It's late night. Enjoy the victory. Sooners, we got the dub. I think it's really important for us as a fan base to have pride and know that our team can compete and be big boys in this conference, because we will be. And fun game.
Yeah,
Fun game.
man.
A lot of stress.
And then that's 7 wins in BV's toughest schedule yet, right? I think defensively, it's the best talent he's had. Offensively, I think from a talent standpoint, they rival that Gabriel second year version. I think the offensive line ceiling is higher than that unit. That unit just, I want to say, I'm trying to remember who I was on. I think they had a little more experience, which was very helpful. But they played in the Big 12, man. Just
Well,
a
they
different.
had Guyton on one
Yeah,
side, and then they had the other kids. Simpson, what was his name? He also went to the NFL. They had 2 offensive
yeah.
linemen that were NFL dudes on that
Yeah,
offensive
I
line.
forgot about Guyton, and then they had another guy inside too, I think, who played or who got drafted. But anyways, fun stuff, man. Go over to ouinsider.com, guys. Check out everything that they're putting out. Brandon and Parker do a fantastic job. I know they'll have some post game stuff put up there, but tune in here first. As always, so happy to bring you guys the pod tonight. Make sure to like, subscribe, share it everywhere you are on social media, Instagram, X, and get over there and have a conversation with us. But as always, Sooner Nation, thank you for tuning in. We will see you soon.